Hello and welcome to episode 159 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode is a guest that I've wanted on the podcast for almost 2 years. I've been absolutely obsessed with his music and he's my most listened to artist for the last 2 years on Spotify. I cannot get enough of this guy and I've been trying to get him on the podcast for so long, but finally it's happened. Today I'm joined by the absolute genius, one of the best pianists out there, RIOPY. Now this guy, maybe you've never heard of, but his music will change your life. I really do fully mean that, and he's someone that's had a huge impact on my life musically for the last couple of years. When I listen to his music, it takes me to places that no other artist, no other band or no other music has ever done before. It takes me to somewhere that feels like a dream, and his music is that powerful. I want everyone that listens today to just take a couple of moments to listen to his music, and I hope, more than anything, it has the same effect on you that it does to me. It can change your life, and honestly, it's that good. I'm not saying this lightly, and I really urge you to all do that. But in true typical Mark and Me fashion, you know the score by now. At the start of every interview, I like to touch base and use a few moments just to talk about the previous episode. Only a few days ago, I was joined by the amazing Lisa Downs. We got to talk all about her documentaries, Life After Flash and Life After the Navigator. It's been a huge success, it's been downloaded so many times, and the response, I couldn't ask for anything better, so thank you so much. But what I want to do now is get straight to the interview. This has been such a long time coming for me, but it's been worth it and is one of my favourite interviews that I've done. And I hope you all love it just as much as me. Here's me and RIOPY talking all things music. So RIOPY, thank you for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Hey Mark, thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
What I want to do today is hopefully that there'll be new people listening to your music from the podcast. So I want to take it back to the very start to let those listeners find out more about you as a person. And when you were growing up, at what age was it that you started to take an interest in playing the piano?
My entire life. I think I played the piano before I could walk. I was crawling to the piano. I was like 2 years old or something.
Was there someone else in the house that was a piano player that made you want to start playing?
No, not at all actually. But there was like very old piano that I was just very attracted to.
Yeah.
No one plays music in my family actually. It was just yeah.
Were you self-taught, or was there someone at school that taught you as a teacher? Because I started playing at a young age, but I lost interest quite early. So were you someone that started? You said you were playing at 2, but did you have professional lessons, or were you just teaching yourself?
I taught myself, and fully taught myself because it's funny. I think the way I taught myself was to listen. I was listening. I was very attracted to the sound and listening, and I think probably 2 factors that made me really want it. Because I mean, it's a subject in itself, right? The learning, process. But
yeah,
I think first, it's repetition. So you need to have really an interest into it. Otherwise, you wouldn't repeat it, right? Because you don't want to do it. So I had such an urge. It was. I mean, I kind of believe in the kind of mystical way of living sometimes. You see what I mean? I didn't plan it. It was just like, or perhaps I did. But you see what I mean? Like I was so attracted to it, I was just repeating it and playing every day. And I need the piano. It's like for me, it's as much as I actually I play more piano than I eat food, I think.
And were your parents supportive? Were your family saying to you, yes, you can make a career out of this? Or were they wanting you to get an education and then use the piano as maybe as a backup?
Long story short, I didn't. I mean, I wasn't very lucky to have a family that I think most of us would like to have. And another same time, exactly right. At the same time, we are so many of us on this planet, right? Have had a really tough time. So I was lucky that I found a passion, from that. So it was a very bad environment, very, didn't know my father, that kind of stuff, and then ended up in a court and then beating you up. And, I mean, a lot of shit. But finding my passion, right? Made me really go into, like wanted to fight and I, so I was like, no, I'm gonna play and play, and then the music was taking me to places, and that was the best escape. But so at the same time, I'm not like, I never put myself as a victim for having like a shitty life, you know what I mean? I was like, you take that and you're positive and you fight, because I'm not the only one, right? I mean, so many of us, right? So
when you were having these bad times taking place and the violence and everything that was happening around you when you were growing up, were you using the piano as a kind of an escapism? Were you going to the piano to try and take everything else away and just focus purely on that, so then at least there was something positive in your life?
definitely, but also in my mind, I was composing, all my pieces in my, in my own, in my mind, and then the piano became, like like the whole keyboard was basically, imprinted, in my mind, so I could compose my pieces, and today same, I can compose in my head, and then I go to the piano, I know all the notes, so I can just put it there. I know how it sounds already, and that's how I do my orchestral stuff as well. I hear everything first, and then up I go on paper and tack 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 tack, kind of like playing Lego.
So you're not actually sitting there at a piano writing it, it's kind of in your head as a vision first, and then you're constructing it and making this composition, and then you take it to the piano to kind of act it out. Is that correct?
It's definitely the very, like, that's the best way I do it. Yes, it's like this, and it's what comes, the most naturally. But and at the same time, I just feel all the time the urge to go to the piano. You see what I mean? So then I've got this idea, but I've got this song. It's made that I play it, and then at some point, up, I hear something. Like a code. It's like, or someone talking to me. It's like, I was like, oh wow, who's talking to me? And then I start, I go and see basically what's going on over there, and then the notes, they kind of find each other, tack 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 tack, and it kind of builds, and then it takes me to a place, and that's what I really love about it. It's always new, it's always exciting, it's always, full of life, and is the best way for me to express everything I have, right? And that's why I think my music is so emotional, because there are real emotions.
And you said you started at, when you were a toddler, you're sitting there playing and you knew you wanted to do it. But at what age was it when you actually could make that into a reality? So I know you're sitting there as a young child playing, but at what age were you when you're thinking, this is actually what I want to do all day, every day? Like you said, it's such an important part. It's more important than food to you. It's something you do all day, every day. But at what point in your life was it that it became a career, that you knew that this is all you were going to do? You weren't going to go and work in a shop or go and work in an office. You wanted the piano to be your life.
Where are you based?
I'm in the UK, so I'm in Shropshire.
In the UK, right? Oh, okay, cool. So you see, well, like in the UK, it's a bit like France, right? We have this way structure, about school and everything, right? And for me, I never really got it. I wanted to be part of it, but I never got it. And I don't think I'm the only one, right? I actually believe the system is too old now, of education. I don't think it works, right? And I ask you, because in the UK, people are very open, and in the US as well, right? About like, even Elon Musk was like, hey, you don't need to study to come and work for me, that kind of stuff. So I was lucky to have a passion, but at the same time, it's cool. You're like, what am I going to do, right? So I was actually, luckily, I was a good student, because I mean, it was easy for me to understand what I was asked, to do, but I never enjoyed it, right?
No,
I loved, you see, so you end up like, learning stuff that you're just like, well, I don't see how it's relevant, to my life or my future, because that's not even what I want to do. So it was clear for me that I was basically going to make my music, and I always knew, I was like, I'll make it. That's fine. I don't have to worry. Oh, but you're going to be on the street. I was like, you know what? I mean, fuck it. I'm already on the street. What is it going to change, right?
Yeah.
So, when you have nothing to lose, you have nothing. So, hey, I can't really go lower than that.
I was the same. I was at school and I didn't like all the academic stuff. I didn't want to study maths and English. I just wanted to play the guitar. I just wanted to be in a band and perform music. And I just knew it wasn't for me. So you're not alone on that at all.
And today you're happy? You're in a good place?
I'm happy. I'm in a good place. I'm not able to make the guitar my living, but I record interviews and speak to people, and it's not my full-time job, but I get to do it enough that it's the reason I, breathe, and what I want to do. So where you're with the piano, my conversations with people and delving deep into lives and stuff is why I do it, and that's what I enjoy.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really cool. Yeah, good luck with that, man. That's really cool. No, but it is true. It's great to do what you love, and of course, if you can, it's funny when people say, oh, if you're lucky to make your living doing now, making a living, because in the music industry, it's not really talked about, but in any really industry, right? Don't talk money, don't talk, but come on, that's
Yeah,
it's a bit like sex, right? No one talks about it, kind of, but it's everywhere on the internet, in movies, everywhere, but it's a taboo. I'm like, hey guys, I mean, you see what I mean? I think we should address all these issues, because I think it's together that we can thrive, right? I mean, otherwise it doesn't work. And we see it now, right? I mean, we see it, with Brexit, we see it with, everything, I think, on the planet, right?
it's true.
And yeah, so I ask, because I think, I am lucky today to make a living of what I do, but it doesn't change anything for me, if you see what I mean, like in the sense that, like, it's a journey, and I'm lucky now, and maybe not later, and hopefully I will, and but I don't think there is any value for me in kind of economics in music. I think the value is in the talent, and at the end of the day, I've met some amazing people who are like jugglers on the street, you see what I mean?
I do,
And
yeah, definitely.
and for me, those people, in a way, are, some of them are the real unsung heroes, right?
Definitely.
And it was kind of my tribute for my actually for my next album. I've got an album coming out, right, on the 2nd of July.
Yes.
And originally, which I'm still doing, right, in interviews as well, in stuff, to say that it is a tribute to unsung heroes, because we don't talk about all these people that you see are not in the papers, big papers, being like a star, as they say. But
No,
what
it's
is a
true.
star? It's true, right? And we see a shift, of life right now. I think we, it's funny. Like, most of my I'm very lucky to have fans, like people who appreciate my music, and I think because we're on the same wavelength. You see what I mean? I think they understand what I'm saying. They understand, right? It's. I know what you see what I mean.
It's the creative mindset, and you're never going to be rewarded financially as much as someone who's a big businessman or a footballer. And it's a shame, because what I found is, during the COVID outbreak and the lockdown, is that those big massive accountants and the big people in offices aren't important. We don't need them, but we need the people to entertain. We need the doctors. We need the people that are going out to help people. And there's been a real shift, and the heroes that we're shouting for are the people in the NHS who aren't earning a lot of money. We're looking for people to go out and deliver food to the vulnerable people, and they're not the people that are heroes in the way that people see the world. Everybody always looks at a massive footballer who's earning £200,000 a week, or an accountant that's a lawyer, these big people. But really, the unsung heroes are the people that people just don't talk about.
Up 200%. For me, a life is a life. You see what I mean? There is no better or less good life. I think anyone thinking like this, anyone feeling like this, has a massive problem.
Yeah.
But it's true, right? Because we see it every day. I've seen it. I mean, in the industry, I've seen it so much. Like, and it's funny, because in the US, it's like this, but it's different. Because in the US, they think you can be somebody in 2 days, right? They know, because it happens. It happens less, in Europe. And I'm like, guys, don't be like this. Because, money doesn't matter, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. You need enough to make a living and stuff, but don't judge someone because he's got, a big wallet, or because he's poor. I mean, that's just, I think, at the end of the day, it's sad for them, because I really believe when you think like this, you actually are really hurting yourself.
Yeah, the older I'm getting, and I'm only nearly 40 now, I realized that everything changes over the last few years, and what's important is just to be happy, to be loved, to be with someone you care about, and to be around your family. And we can go for a walk, we can take the dogs for a walk, and that means more than going to any event or spending loads of money that we don't need to spend. When I'm with the people I love, my girlfriend and my dogs, there's nothing else I need in the world. It doesn't matter about money. It's about being happy and just going on adventures together.
You just said it. Oh, we're done.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we need from life.
That's it. But hey, you know what? I agree 200%. If you ask anyone all the time, when you ask people, hey, dude, like, what would you like? I mean, it's funny, like, people talk about, experience. They talk about, like, I want to be happy. That's what I want. It's just, so everything you're around, I think you're right. It's just noise. And but we feel the shift. You see what I mean?
So what makes you happy in life? Obviously, I know you absolutely adore the piano. It's like joint to you at all times. It's part of your body, your heart, your soul. Are your family close? Are you now in a much better place than you were when you're growing up? Have you got loved ones around you?
Of course, because at some point where I've been depressed. I've fought like heavy depression my whole life, basically, because of that, right? And the piano helped me. And then I started making a very good living, and then I was still depressed. And I was like, because I was like, okay, so even basically being really lucky to make my music a dream is not enough. I'm still depressed. So then I figured out, okay, this had nothing to do with money. No. Right. I was like, okay, so it doesn't change anything. And then I changed my lifestyle. At some point, I had an episode in my life that really was going too far, for me as a human being, trying to heal. And then I didn't realize I just wanted to heal myself, that way. So, like, I don't know, like smoking weed, or like, I tried cocaine. I tried, I was drinking so much and then destroying myself, and my music for me is the really pure, part of my being. And basically the other side, I was just really hurting myself. And I ended up, in this kind of little world at some point, where I ended up, with people with a lot of money and planes and everything, and, fucking, you name it, all around the globe, which is funny. And in a year, at some point, it really hit me. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do this. It was really bad. And my girlfriend at the time, I ended up cheating on her, and as I'm a very sensitive guy, and by the way, no filter, because why having filter, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't care. No, and I have no shame. Why? Because I have shame for what I've done, but I paid, the price really heavily, because cheating is wrong for the other person. But I think it's worse for the person doing it, because you are hurting somebody, and you're hurting yourself as well. You see what I mean? So because whether you want it or not, we do have consciousness, right? And we've got kind of, that's so my little, consciousness was really, really, really hurt. See what I mean? So definitely. And it was kind of like a really downhill. I was going downhill, and I lost like, almost 10 kilos. I was really, really skinny. I was just, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, listen, we need to go away, and we went away. We were supposed to get married, and I told her everything. And it's funny, I don't know why she helped me get back on my feet, and I changed everything. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped it. It was almost 10 years ago, and stopped absolutely everything. And I was like, okay, I want to heal. I really want to heal. I'm like, I need to heal. So I'm going to start reading, about everything I can find about my mental health. How does it work, right? I'm a musician. I know when I play, I feel amazing. I know it helps, but now it's not enough. Apparently, when I don't play the piano, I'm depressed. That's not good, right? And so then, I was not happy with anyone around. I was not happy with myself. I was just like, so I started reading, and I found out about brainwaves. And I was like, oh my God, we've got brainwaves. That's amazing. So I bought a helmet, like electroencephalograph, and I started basically checking what was going on, when I was playing the piano, or, doing stuff. And I realized, wow, we can alter them, right? So I digged even deeper and started reading even more. And then I came across, and then at the same time, as I didn't eat for so long, and I was like, and I was doing yoga 3 times a day, like hot yoga, because, she forced me to go. And I was like, no. And I did. I was like, okay, whatever. And I became addicted to yoga. Not addicted, but it was a very, very good addiction, because I was going every day, and it was like popping out. And I think it wasn't, to be fair, I don't think it was, it could have been running, right? For me, it was hot yoga. It was next door. Okay, great. And that really helped. And then I ended up having, and it's really weird, I ended up, when you have trauma, because everything is linked, right? When you have trauma, you forget things. I didn't remember anything about my life, like my past, or anything. I left, my 18th birthday. I left. I never went back. Didn't see my mother for 15 years. Didn't see my little younger brother and sisters, but I couldn't, because it was kind of a very bad situation we had, with the cold and stuff. We had the police. I mean, it was really bad. So I ended up not growing up, with them. But I was, the second oldest one. So they were obviously really sad and very upset. But now today, they're all around, and I try and take care of them, help them as much as I can. And it's a different life, right? So I forgave, my mother, and my mother changed as well. She grew up and she fucked up. But at the same time, that's also funny. She fucked up because her mother fucked up.
Yeah.
You see, her mother abandoned her. I mean,
yeah, there's the trend there, isn't there?
It is. You see what I mean? That's why I'm like, guys, what the fuck? Like, yeah. And I was like, whoa, so anyway, so changing everything. And I started having these experiences. I had like an out-of-body experience. And I'm sure you heard of that.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, I had that when I was young. I had that when I was a child. I remember it. I remember them. I remember those experiences. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. How can I get deeper into it? And then I read a book from a guy called Robert Monroe, who was the founder of the Monroe Institute in the US, who basically, I don't know if you heard of it, probably, right?
I've heard it, but I've not read it, yeah.
It's amazing, that guy who basically, I mean, it's just amazing, because he explains how he had body experiences on demand, and he was a CNBC executive, he wasn't, a charlatan or something, because, that's the problem, right? I didn't want to go. I grew up in a very bad environment. I was like, I'm not going into the spiritual bullshit. I don't want that now. I want to know exactly, how it works, like science, how does science work for my brain, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm reading all these studies, and then ended up, understanding binaural beats. So then I worked, with Calm, doing a track for, binaural beat tracks, right, to help you relax. And it's extremely efficient. It really works, right? We have brain waves. We've got beta, alpha, theta, and delta. They're the kind of four, big ones. Then you've got 4 gamma, epsilon. And then with these binaural beats, we're going to put like 4 hertz here, 10 hertz, here. So on different ears, right? 2 ears. And then the wave, they're going to synchronize at the middle of your brain, called the corpus callosum, and help your brain get into this mode. It's amazing for relaxation.
Fascinating.
It is really fascinating. And he helped me so much. And I tried everything. I tried everything. I tried antidepressant. I tried everything. And I realized, oh my God, I have to do the work. Okay, I'll do the work. And binaural beats really, really helped a lot. And I started having more experiences actually with binaural beats as well. So I was sleeping better. I was like, and I started making music to help meditate. I was like, oh my God, like, I don't like the word meditate, because the word meditate, you see what I mean? It's like, it's religious. It's like, it's not for me. So I was like, no, meditation is not the right word. So I was like, but something that really works, and we know it, we can slow down our brain waves. When these brain waves are basically, when they're slowed down, then you can interact with anything you want. And I went so deep into, researching that. I found so much stuff, especially in the US, in the research of all of this, basically, right? This is science. And I think it's only science of tomorrow. And to be honest, I believe that magic is only science that we haven't, proved yet. If you see what I mean?
It blows my mind, and I need to read more about it, because it just sounds fascinating, and you just kind of delved into it only a little bit, and there's so much more to explore.
It's without limit. Your brain, and what I love the most about this, when I found about binaural beats, and of course the way, so too, we call it meditate, but I don't like the word meditate. It's not a dogma. It's just basically changing the way you operate, right? It's changing a channel. Where you're watching BBC, you're watching ITV, and I'm saying, hey, there is another channel, but it's not using your intellect. It's how to relax. And that's why, for example, my music, when you listen to my music, you might dream sometimes. You're like, oh, you go to places, because it helps you relax, and it brings you to that place, right? Now, if we want to bring you to even a deeper place, then it can be, of course, music. It can be, it can be so many things, right? Like a shower. Sometimes you're in a shower, you're like, oh my God, it's been 45 minutes. Yeah, because the water like this, really cleans, and it makes your brain go into theta waves.
It's amazing. I mean, the very first time I heard your music, my girlfriend was playing a playlist on Amazon, and it was like relaxation or, quiet music. And Meditation 22 came on, and it was just a single note of the piano at the start. And it just took me. I think I was in the garden. I just stopped because it was just like, even though it was so minimalistic, it was so powerful. Just the one note playing, and it got me. It gripped me. And then I heard the extra, your other hand starting to play some other notes. And this song's, 20 something, is it 22 minutes, and it captivated me. I'm not exaggerating. I've never felt so emotional, and it overpowered me. It was like stopped me in my tracks. And I said to my girlfriend, Leah, I said, "What is this?" And she's like, "It's RIOPY." And we listened to the song again, and it brought back memories of growing up. It brought back good times, bad times, but it took me somewhere that no other piece of music has ever done it before. And I really mean this. I listen to a lot of collective music, Radiohead, Beastie Boys, Deftones, all these different genres, but nothing has made me ever feel this way. And my girlfriend agrees. When we listen to your music, we just don't say a word to each other, and we are both just caught up in it. And I don't know what you do that's different to anyone else, but it stops us completely wherever we are, and we just are captivated, and you've just got us. It's incredible.
Thank you so much. It touches me because it's funny, because it should flatter me, but it doesn't. And because it's because I don't know, it's a weird feeling for me, yeah. Thank you so much. I don't know how to explain it. It's more, it touches me because I'm so happy if I can make you feel good. You see what I mean?
And it does. And I can't thank you enough, because I'm so excited you've got more music. I've listened to all of it on Spotify. I bought Tree of Life. I've listened to it again and again, and I've got to the point where I'm like, I need more. And we're only a few weeks away from a new album, and I look forward to the journeys it takes me on, because when I buy a normal album, I just listen. I love the choruses and I love the harmonies and the different vocals, but you don't have any words in your music, but it speaks to me more than any audio track with vocals. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if it's weird at the end of the day, because so when you listen to a song has lyrics, and then so the song wants to take you somewhere. That I don't. I'm not trying to take you anywhere. I'm taking you where I am, and then we go somewhere. And then it's up to you, to go wherever basically your heart is driving you, so it's not your intellect. And when you listen to a song with lyrics, and obviously you've got some amazing songs and stuff, but the lyrics are driving your thoughts. They're driving you to, okay, this is it, I love you, I do this. Then the music itself, for me, it's just those vibrations that raise something in the body that just makes you feel, and then up you can do whatever you want.
I mean, you've talked about this journey that you've had over the last 10 years, you said, where you stopped doing the drugs, you stopped living this sort of rock star style life, and you've just completely changed. And, you are now heading towards the light, and you're in a much better place. You're happier, you're healthier, you are in a much better place, which is great to hear. What are you doing to make sure that you never go back to those places? Because people that listen who have mental health issues or struggle or have depression, what advice do you give to those people that make and hopefully ensure them that they won't go back to the bad place? Because obviously you've done it a lot, but you've now had a good decade of never doing it again.
It's funny. It's we live in very strange times, but I really believe also we live in amazing times, because we've got so much now coming out, right, about what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And I think, I really believe we are at the end of a civilization. The way we cannot carry on like this, right, as a species. When you see this racism taking place, when you see everything is just it's insane.
Yeah.
But I think when I saw that also helped me change, and I'm sure for you the same. And I think now everybody has to basically be a better person, because it's not cool anymore to be an asshole. It's not cool anymore to, like, we can't live like this. So my advice for depressed people: first, to look at yourself, right? I mean, I can't, of course, obviously I'm not a doctor or anything, but yes, I have been through, I've done, 180, 360, whatever. And it's neuroplasticity is a huge part of it, right? Repetition.
Yeah.
We, science now is saying, hey, you can change basically your DNA, right? So, I mean, some amazing people that I've read and stuff, I would know, like, say about someone called Thomas Campbell, My Big Theory of Everything. It's a book that it's absolutely amazing. It might be a bit hard to read at the beginning, but I think it's absolutely stunning. Joe Dispenza, has got a very good course for those, I don't know if you probably heard of him. He's an amazing guy. And it's funny because all of them basically, it would be, of course, meditation is like every day. The problem of people not getting there is because like, oh, I try to meditate and I'm like, I'm bored. Yeah, of course you're going to be bored. First of all, don't try and meditate when you're very anxious and and angry and of course you haven't never meditated. If you do that, you're screwed. It's because it's going to make you even more anxious. So it's little ways first to check out what is meditation, to understand it, because it's the best thing that I would recommend to anyone, because it increases, the length of the telomeres, which is, at the end of each chromosomes, right? So it helps you live longer, basically, because, it's, responsible for aging, from, of course, the everything in your body, from the parasympathetic system. I mean, it's incredible. And I've been researching, of course, a lot about that, because I was interested, okay, what it can do and stuff. And you need to heal, your body and your mind, right? Because if your stomach, right, hurts, then your head is not going to be there. And I think, and this, before it was only religions and spirituality talking about it, right? And for me, I was like, I'm not, guys, no, I'm not a guru. I don't want to be in that kind of stuff. I was like, no way. But now I understood, whoa, yes, we have all these religions, and I'm not anti-religious, by the way, right? I believe in God. I believe in something for sure, 200%, right? But that's a different conversation. But I think religions, and I've read, I've read the Quran, I've read the Bible, I've read, because I wanted to understand. And you have something very common in all of this, right? Which is love. Yeah. And you have the, meditation, which is prayers, right? Which is very similar. And you've got so many, like a fast as well. A fast is actually a very good thing for the body, and now science is saying, oh my God, it's amazing. So I would say to have, a daily routine.
Yeah.
And for me to never go back there, now I know how the world works. At least for me, I found, my way. I believe the world works. And in 2 words, it would be just to be here now. As very simple, which is the hardest, but to be here now. I'm here, I'm not in the future, I'm not in the past, I'm right now. Because right now, there is no fear. The fear is always in the past or the future. It's always, and I think that's what kills people and make them really depressed, because, depression, it comes from fear, right? We all have the fear of everything. And then insecurities and it kills your life. It really, really kills your life.
It's incredible advice, and I know a lot of people that around me, close people, friends, family, and a lot of people suffer from depression and mental health issues. And what I do like at the moment is that not as many people are embarrassed, and more people are opening up and being strong enough to put their hand up and say help. And I think it's a good place at the moment that people are accepting mental health more and taking it seriously.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but I believe, what I think, when there is a seed, right, without oxygen, I think it should be fine. And I think that's the way it is going. You're right. And we see, I mean, I've tried psychiatrists, psychotherapists, everything. And I discovered, oh my God, and I'm not saying they're not good at all, by the way, right? Some people for sure always seek, any assistance you can, but do seek assistance. But I realized that we need to take, responsibility for our own life. No one's going to do it instead of you. And I think I'm the greatest example, because I was fucked, and no one, really believed in me. Of course, it's like, she has no family, has no money, will never go anywhere. The only people who believed in me were people when they heard me play the piano. And they were like, oh my God, that's beautiful. And I was like, well, this is just that. But the people who were just about money didn't feel it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
They had no interest. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. It was, and it's funny because even up to date, sometimes I have people, so you're a lounge pianist. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Lounge or not lounge, I'm a pianist, So, and if I end up in a bar in a creepy town, if there is a piano, I'll play.
It's beautiful. You should never
I
ever
love
change. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, why would I change, right? I mean, I don't play for the rich. I play for everyone, right? Of course, I need to make a living, but guys, I mean, you're kidding me. I play when I want to, whenever I want to play, you know. But it's so yeah. I mean, it's again, it's a long, it's a long conversation. But yeah, find a way to meditate. And something even like for depression, there is one thing very efficient to start a meditation. It's just the breathing. You probably heard of it, but breathing is like, so just doing like for like even like 20 seconds, boom, then you're out. You see what I mean? So you don't stress anymore. You are in that place. So once you don't stress, just breathe and focus on your breathing. Just focus on your breathing. And then you will give a coherence to your heart. Because we have a rhythm, right? The same for me, I'm making my music. And by the way, meditation has this thing where it takes, the heartbeat, this note. And I was using basically a hypnosis technique. And the rest was, and it's funny because even to play, if you play on the piano, meditation 22 has this minimalistic, right, sound to keep you. I wanted to keep you. That's why I did meditation 22. I wanted to meditate and stay here. But I didn't make it boring for you to go. I keep you changing one little note at a certain point in time. Like this, I still have your attention and you're still in the zone.
It's genius. And the same note is there the whole 22 minutes. It's keeping your heartbeat like it's there. It's the steady rhythm. It's got you going. It's the main moot note, but it keeps you there. And whatever else happens during that 22-minute journey is down to wherever you want to go.
I'm really glad it's you found me by meditation 22. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Because it's not, it's not a pop song. It's not, but yeah, it's yeah, I'm very glad. It's great. Yeah. But like you can go after, what I love about, like, I did 22 because like I meditate 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, right?
Yeah.
And I try and do at least 4 times a week, an hour binaural, if I can, because it's not always easy. But I never say to myself, oh, I don't have time, right? Because we always do that. And then we go running for 3 months and then boom. And then, we eat like a massive cheesecake and the next day there's nothing anymore. And then you're done and you're like, oh, I don't want to go back. Oh, it's raining. Oh, we give excuses, to ourselves all the time. But what we don't understand is to be challenged, it's actually amazing for the brain, for the body, for yourself, right? And when you're challenged at the beginning, you're like, oh, you don't want to go. But then when you're up running, even in the rain, at the end, you're like, or just when you started running, you're like, fuck, I'm doing it, man. That's great. And you're proud of yourself. And then, you give yourself a little, wow. So there is some dopamine, right? It's fascinating, the chemicals we have, in our brain, and it's absolutely genius. So for the breathing, when you do this breathing, it really helps basically getting into that zone to go and meditate. And there is another guy that you might have heard of, that we were supposed to do something together, but we will, because I really love him, called Wim Hof. You heard about Wim Hof?
I've not, but I'll look into it.
I think you would really love his book. His book is amazing. No time to tell his story, but he does a breathing, and he has the Wim Hof method, and it's definitely something that I recommend to anyone to try if they want, because cold showers is something I do every day, every morning. Like my routine, I wake up in the morning, I do my breathing, my meditation. No, I do my breathing. I go and have a cold shower, and then after the cold shower, I do my meditation. I feel clean. I feel great. I'm up and running. Because otherwise, when you're depressed, I didn't want to wake up in the morning, No. And as I'm a pianist, I was like, why would I wake up anyway, right? I stay in my bed, and then you see what I mean? And then you don't have a routine. And then you go even more down. And when you're like me and you are in the hypersensitive, and I have a feeling that you seem sensitive too, you feel everything more than anyone else, right? And when you feel more, well, then you can get a bit depressed, So what people don't know, though, I think, but I mean, and I hope maybe they know, but being depressed is a beautiful thing. I think it's an amazing thing. I think it's a gift, because it means that you're able to feel. And so many people don't feel. You see what I mean? So
no, you're right. You're inside my head. What you're saying is in my head. It's frightening. It's like when I'm talking to you, I'm like, my God, he's saying what goes through my head some days, and it's frightening. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. But then to find a way, okay, I know I'm not happy, in the morning being in my bed all day. So I need to change it. And this, you need a little kick, in the ass, being like, come on, take your life in charge, because no one's going to do it. And if you do it, we have what we call the neuroplasticity. You heard of this, right? And we say around 20, 21 days to rewire the brain. You need to rewire. So yes, the first 2 days is a bit tough. Then the fourth is going to be very easy. And then the 10th, you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to do it. No, you push. And at the end of the month, you will already have rewired, your brain. And then you do 3 months, and then boom, that's it. You've got a new habit. You're safe. And same for meditation. It's hard at the beginning, of course, if you never quiet your mind. But when you start quieting your mind, because we talk meditation, but do people ever feel? But what do? You see what I mean? It's funny how it's almost if everyone knows what to do and how to do it, but hold on, why people meditate? To feel good? No, but man, when you meditate, when you find your point of consciousness, which is not that hard, right? It's not that hard. You find the point of consciousness and you become conscious. But then this feeling of pure bliss is beyond anything, like absolutely anything. There is no money in the world that can buy that. There is nothing that can buy that. And then the experiences in terms of imagination, we talked about, out of bodies that you can do into meditation. I've had amazing experiences. Now someone can tell me, yeah, but you're crazy. Like, maybe I'm like, yeah, maybe I am crazy. Maybe it's only my imagination. But think about that. If you listen to my music, it's something I created. So it comes not from the intellect, it comes from another part of me. And I was very interested in understanding, where does my music come from? Where does, creativity comes from? And I realized with all this research, it comes from this theta wave, alpha down to theta waves, brainwave system. And now if we go back to religion, it's like, wow, they were saying, you do your prayer, you do this, you do that. And I'm like, oh, wow, we need basically just to do it ourselves. Because, that's why people feel good when they pray. That's why people feel good when they meditate. You see what I mean? It's like, oh, it goes in circle. Well, you see what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. I've had an experience where I was, and that's the craziest experience I had. And again, I can't prove it.
No.
But you can't prove the existence of God. And I cannot prove how I compose my music. I can't. But I can show you with my music it's true. But, it's like, you see what I mean? It's true, right?
Definitely.
And I had my baby daughter. So I became a father, right? A few years ago, 3 years ago. And it was, the most beautiful thing, obviously. And basically one day she was, crying. She wouldn't go to sleep. I took her against me, and I'm just, breathing and singing it a bit. And then she starts falling asleep. And then I'm like, and I know her, right? She was like 4, 5, 6 months. If I put her in the bed, she's going to like wake up and so I was like, okay, no, that's not going to work. So I went on the bed with her, right? I lied down and I meditated. I was like, well, then I'm going to meditate, that's fine. So I keep my breathing and I hold her really tight, right? Like this, she's not going to fall. And I cannot fall asleep because I could kill her. So I'm very focused. And that's, what meditation is. Meditation is focus on a one single thing. And I did. What ended up happening to me. And again, I don't care if people say it's not true or something. That's what I experienced. That's what I lived. So even if it was in my mind, even if it was my imagination, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. I went outside of my body and she was outside of her body waiting for me. And her eyes were big open and her hair like all on the head. And I was like, oh my God. It was, and this, when you realize that all you need is to go in the forest, just you don't need to cross your leg, you don't need to have like, a wing in your bum, to meditate. You see, I'm doing it on purpose.
Right.
We need to desacralize meditation. Go for a walk and just listen to the air, just listen to the wind blows, around you, the leaves, and then you're going to start hearing something else because you're focused on that sound and you never listened to that sound before.
No.
And then you listen even more and you go deeper. It's the same. You see what I mean? That's what you do.
It's true.
Listen to your breathing, you breathe, slowly, just bring, but enjoy it. It's like, and I talk to myself, by the way, hypnotize yourself for sure. It's like, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm a good man, and saying that, then you start, wow, I feel good. You start believing it, the same way. And I always say this example because I think it's so true. It's like, it's like bloody Superman, right? We see a man with tights and a cape. He's like this in the air, and we are like, wow, this guy's flying. And people are scared, right? They're scared he's gonna die. They're scared, and then they cry when he kisses the lady at the end because kryptonite almost killed him. And you're like, guys, that's a story. Yeah, but it's a story that you watch because you were hypnotized for that. Like advertising, like everything is. That's how we live in. That's the world we live in. So if we hypnotize ourselves to go to that place, it's pure happiness.
There's a question that I ask everyone that comes on the podcast, and it's going to be difficult, I think, for you because you're so indulged in your music and the power and the piano. But what I ask is that the outro piece of music that's played on the podcast, it doesn't matter if you're an actor, a director, a film star, a musician, you get to choose a piece of music for your episode. So as this is the RIOPY episode and it's on iTunes and Spotify and all these different channels, your outro music will be different to anyone else's that I've chosen on the podcast, and we're 145 guests in. What is a song that you would like to be your outro music for this episode? It doesn't have to be by yourself. It could be one that you've fallen in love with in the past or just means a lot to you.
What a wonderful world.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, okay. I love that you knew straight away. I thought you were going to have like 10 choices and try and get it down to like 3 or 4.
Nope. Done.
It's the perfect one for you. I believe that we could talk for hours. I really do. I would love to get you back on the podcast and delve deeper because today's been a really good introduction. And I think a lot of people take a lot from today's interview, especially the spiritualism and the stuff we talked about, the depression and everything else. And I think we could talk for hours. But I think if we stop here, this is a good place. And I would love to get you back on in the near future, if that's good with you.
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoy that, and thank you for having me. I enjoyed that. Yeah,
you're an amazing musician. You're more than a musician. You've given myself, my girlfriend, pieces of art through music that no one else has, and I truly mean that. And I'm not just saying it because you're on the show. You are an absolute genius, and what you create and what you will continue to create is something that no one else will. So thank you for what you've given us as well.
Oh man, stop it. I'm going to cry. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. Take care.
It means a lot, and have a lovely evening. So there's my interview with me and Rio-Py. Honestly, I never knew how this interview was going to pan out, but I couldn't ask for it to go any better. I love how passionate he is, how much advice he gave on meditation and looking after yourself, having such a positive mindset, and getting out of those dark places that depression can cause us to go to during so many times in our life. It's an absolute honour to have Rio-Py on this episode, and I'm so grateful for the time that he gave me, and this interview honestly makes my top 5 personally. I absolutely adore it from start to finish, and I'm so proud, and it was so worth the wait. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please go and check out Rio-Py. Jump on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Amazon Music and just take a listen to his stuff. His brand new album is out now. It's called Bliss and is incredible from start to finish. But don't just listen to that. Go back to the very start. Listen to all of his albums. My personal favourite is Tree of Life. Go and give it a listen from start to finish, and I promise it will take you to places that music has never done before. Just shut yourself away, maybe light a candle, put some good headphones on, and just let yourself get lost in the music. It's that good, and please let me know if you've done that and the effect it's had on you. If you've really enjoyed today's episode, please share it. It costs nothing to do, and I mention it every single time on this podcast because it's crucial to getting success to this podcast and getting the word out there. If you're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, it's literally a click of a couple of buttons. It costs you absolutely nothing to do, but has a huge help in me getting Mark and me heard by a brand new audience. And I really do appreciate every single share that I see. If you've really enjoyed today's episode and want to support the podcast, I do have a Patreon page. Each and every month, I thank every single Patreon by offering the opportunity to win some incredible prizes from some close friends to the podcast. I have Vice Press, who are easily the best company out there for prints, posters, and each month they give me some incredible artist proofs, really rare variant posters, and so much more. Also, Last Exit to Nowhere, the best t-shirt company out there. Each and every month I give 2 t-shirts away to my Patreons. It's an amazing way to say thank you for supporting me, and you can go on there and support Mark and me for as little as £1 a month. And at the moment you're getting about 10 episodes a month, which is just crazy. And that is literally that's as little as £1 a month. And all that money goes right back into the podcast. It allows me to host it on all these different podcast channels, to travel the country and do more and more face-to-face interviews, and just keep the podcast ticking over. I make no money and it goes all back into the podcast to give you guys at home more and more interviews and more episodes. Honestly, right now I feel the most positive I ever have with Mark and me. The next 4 weeks are absolutely insane with some of my biggest guests and my best work I've ever put out in 5 years. I can't wait to share them with you, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. So thanks for listening, thanks for all your support. I'll be back in just a few days' time with a brand new episode, so look after yourself, take care, be nice to each other, listen to RIOPY, and I'll speak to you all in a few days' time.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.